Hello, all you beautiful people, and welcome to another episode of the Two Geeks Podcast, where two geeks are talking about geeky things. I am James, and I am, as always, joined by the fantastic Stephen. How are you doing?
Hello.
God, I don't know why I put so much dramatic emphasis into my movement then, because probably didn't even catch it all on camera. No, how you doing, my dude? I feel like 2 weeks is a long time.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it goes from, to me, sometimes so fast that I'm like, I get to see James again. But then other times it feels like I haven't seen you in a month.
I know, it's weird. It's like sometimes I'm like, oh god, I feel like we did the podcast yesterday and we've got another one. It's like I haven't looked at anything. And other times I'm like, fuck, when was the last time I spoke to Stephen?
Yeah.
So it's nice. I will be honest, because if you guys are familiar with the podcast, we usually do the first half an hour talking about geeky things that have happened in the world. I have found two things. And one of them we have decided to make the entire premise of the episode. So it might be a really short bit of recent geek news. I don't know if you've got more things. But before we get into that, I was going to do like an announcement thing, I think. And that is essentially, we've got a logo now. It should be on the screen. It's a cute little simple design thing that my girlfriend threw together for us. I think it's cute. Apparently the T is me and the G is you, is what I've been told.
That's fair. I get that. I wear a lot of sunglasses.
I did say that when she was making it. I was like, to be fair, Stephen lived in his shades.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
I still do. Any chance I get now when the sun's out, glasses are on.
Oh, I can't wait for this on. I'm sick of this cold, miserable weather. So yeah, we have a logo. That's cool. I don't know if I'm going to stick to the placement I've put on the screen. I feel like just nice lower in the corner thing. I might make it smaller, bigger, move it. Not too sure. But it's a bit nicer than a picture of us from 2 years ago.
Absolutely.
So it's cool. And it's the name. Also, I am trying to look into making our podcast an audio podcast as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Superb.
because I've had a few people talk to me saying that is it possible to like get it on Spotify or podcasts or whatnot, just so it's easier to listen to, like if they're on the bus or commuting or whatever. It's just so you don't have to have it video-wise. So I'm currently in the midst of investigating different ways to be able to make it from a video to a audio podcast. So going forward, we may get audio version of the podcast so other people can listen that way and hopefully bring in some more attention.
Yeah, listen to our sultry tones on a car ride or something.
We have fantastically entertaining voices that will fill the commute blissfully.
Oh, well.
Any more announcements?
So I will jump into something if that's your. This is a little thing that's popped up for me, and I wanted to bring it up with you because I don't. Are you on Twitter much?
Not really. Well, every blue moon, I'll see something that happened on Twitter. Or X.
There is a stupid meme trend going around right now that I fucking love.
Oh, of course you do.
So, someone, I don't know where it started. Apparently, it started on I think it was a Dragon Ball Z thing where there was a picture of Yamcha from Dragon Ball Z on the floor, when he's dead and he's curled up. Everyone will know what picture I'm talking about. And someone edited in Foghorn Leghorn from Looney Tunes. Do you remember which one that is? The giant rooster guy?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And they just had a caption that it was just him yelling at Yamcha. Just being like, I say, boy, what you doing going after them Cybermen? And then people in the comments were like, I want him to yell at so many anime characters, so everyone just started doing that. There was one I saw this morning about Sonic the Hedgehog, and the way people write it's genius, and I love it. I won't be able to show you the picture right now, but it's Sonic from Sonic. Is that Unleashed when he's the werewolf?
Oh yeah,
Sonic?
yeah, the werewolf, yeah.
Yeah. He's down on the ground and Foghorn Leghorn is there, and it's just like, boy, I say, boy, you let that egg fella play you like a fiddle. I say now, I look at your face down in dirt, looking like a ghost girl's dream. Boy, you were supersonic a few moments ago, but now you're just super stupid. It's so dumb. It's so funny. There's so many of them. There's one like Mega Man. They're all anime characters. There's Demon Slayer ones.
I'm suddenly missing out.
It's so funny. I don't know why it started, but everyone has been doing it. It's so funny.
My favorite meme thing that was huge recently was the season 1 of Invincible. Think, Mark, think, look what they have to do to mimic a bit of our power. It's just that stuff.
That's so good.
It's so good. I actually watched season 2 of Invincible finally.
All right. How'd you find it?
Good. I think a bit quick.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's like jump from things awfully quickly and like skip some time and.
Yeah. I haven't watched the show, but I've read all the comics.
Oh, so you probably know way more than me then.
Probably. It depends how accurate they go. This is my problem.
Right.
I am not an Invincible fan. I think
really?
the comics are bang average. So that's why I didn't really watch the show. I hear the show's very good, to be fair. But I just wasn't for me. But
they've
the
changed a
comics
couple
were
things,
fine. I'm not like it's not it's one of those things that I've read it, I have no real urge to read it again. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. I just think it was like, that's fine, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
that was entertaining.
I get that. I've watched a lot of movies and shows like that when you're like, yeah, I'm glad I watched it. Will I watch it again? No.
Yeah.
I was going to say that was me with The Flash. That's a lie. I don't like that movie.
Yeah. I did it first, but then I got to see it for free because I dressed like Batman at the cinema.
Nice.
And they like wanted us to promote it. So I got to see that film with no money spent.
It's all,
first I was like,
better
this
when
film's
it's free.
sick. And then I really thought about it and I was like, you know what? No. I haven't watched it again since.
I remember I went to go see it. I think I just spontaneously went to see it. I was like, of course I'm going to go see it. It's The Flash.
Yeah.
And I went to see it on my Todd, and then I posted about it on Instagram, and I posted a story, and I was like, I saw The Flash. It's a movie.
Yeah.
Am I glad I watched it? Sure. Will I watch it again? No. Would I recommend you watching it? Probably.
We should probably do an episode sometime about like bad movies we've seen.
Oh, that could be a long episode.
It could be. God, what would I even put? Probably Elektra from like 2005.
See, I remember when I watched that I enjoyed it, but I was a child. So
I don't remember a thing about it. And I mean, I liked the character in Daredevil, and I'm a big Daredevil 2003 fan.
Oh, yeah, you do love the Ben Affleck. The only thing I remember from Elektra is that there was a bad guy in it who had tattoos of animals on his body that could come to life, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I mean, it might have aged well. For all I know, I could watch it now and be like, you know what? They're just not making films like this anymore.
Do you know what, honestly, I think in all the videos I see online when people are talking about movies that were great and not so great, it's usually come with that Elektra is garbage. So I'd stick to your opinion from what I can gather.
That's it.
What was I thinking? Yeah. So essentially, did you actually have any geek news? I had one thing that isn't the main thing that we're going to talk about, which if you haven't guessed from the name of the episode, it's fucking Deadpool and Wolverine.
I can't think of any geek news that kind of came out at me.
One thing. I have one thing. Granted, I had to Google it to remember it. But
all right.
The trailer for Transformers 1.
Oh my god, you're absolutely right.
Hey! You excited?
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was a bit cautious of it, but I do love the whole origin story and Orion Pax and all that stuff, so I feel like it'd be interesting. I don't know if it's going to lean too much into like family silly, but
that's my only concern. Someone did suggest that like this is the fun trailer to get everyone to look at it, and then later on, no doubt, with like trailer 2, it'll probably be a bit more serious, and we'll see the more serious side, or it'll just continue to be silly.
True.
We'll find out.
I did read an article not too long. I didn't read an article. I read the headline. Let's be honest. Something saying along the lines of either the writer or the director have said that Transformers 1 will have serious scenes in it and a serious story. There is, threats and dangers. It's not just fun like, oh my god, look at us, we can transform now, isn't it amazing? Plus, I kind of want to witness Michael Keel Peel even as Bumblebee. I feel like that's an interesting choice.
There's a lot of it that, like, especially in that trailer, as much as I did enjoy it, it did feel very like jingly keys.
Yeah,
we're making you laugh. You loving the laughs, funny boys? We're all here, and then to make me go like, oh, I like laughing, and then I'm also like, there was a little bit with RC where she has that like action scene where she like kicks one and like takes a gun and shoots another one.
See, but here's the thing.
So I'm like, at least the action from that scene looked sick.
Is that RC or is it Alita? Alita 1.
It could be Alita 1.
Do you not know your Transformers lore, sir?
I won't lie to you, man. Every time in of all the Transformers media I've watched, every time it's a female Transformer, I'm like, it's RC. To be honest, sure there are others, but it's been a long time.
I only know of the two. It's RC and Alita 1, but I know that Alita 1 was like Optimus Prime's girlfriend in like the early days.
Oh, okay.
So I believe the one in this movie is Alita 1.
Yeah. All right.
It
Well,
could be.
you know what? That'll be sick because I don't really know much about her, so it'll be nice to see something different.
Cool. I could have just annoyed a lot of OG Transformers fans by saying that Elita 1 was Optimus Prime's girlfriend, because that could be utter bullshit. But
You know what's even funnier? I have the DVDs of that whole set, and I've still never watched them all. I keep meaning to.
well, like,
There's a lot of episodes
the
to go.
original Transformers.
Yeah, I've got a whole box set.
I really want to watch it. I watched like the first 2 or 3 seasons, and then it gets to like where the movie happened and Optimus Prime dies, and then I just haven't seen like the later ones, which I really want to, because I really like Rodimus Prime and that whole bit. I just haven't watched any of it.
Spoilers alert! He comes back.
I love it though, because it's like they kill him off, and then it's not even that long afterwards, and it's the end of the episode. It's like, oh, what will happen next time in The Return of Optimus Prime? It's like, wow, way to go.
Yeah, I really liked the trailer. I thought so. My whole skepticism came from obviously Chris Hemsworth.
True, that's
because when you're putting him in Optimus Prime's voice, I'm like, that's a big fill. Like you gotta fill those boots.
You can't be.
You gotta fill that trailer, that Optimus Prime trailer. But he actually did a good job. I actually really liked how he sounded, even as like a young Orion Pax.
See, that's the philosophy I'm taking. It's like he's not really the Optimus Prime we know. He's a young kid essentially, and it's his like becoming a leader. So
yeah, but he does do a little like speech that sounds very like classic Optimus that we know. That I was like in the trailer that I was like, that sounds like him. He doesn't sound like Chris Hemsworth. You know, gun to my head, if you were like, who is this? I wouldn't have guessed Chris Hemsworth.
To be fair, I need to watch the trailer again. Probably I watched it once, and what did I do? Yeah, I didn't listen a great deal to the audio, actually. I was just mostly watching it to see what it looked like, the kind of vibe. Because I got to a point where I was like, I'm just going to stop listening to all these jokey jokes. I just want to kind of like see what the story is, see what's happening. So I need to watch it again properly.
Yeah.
And get more of an opinion on it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What is there any other films you're like looking forward to that you're wanting to see?
See, I was gonna talk about this as like the theme of the day, because I feel like the Deadpool Wolverine trailer has just like ignited excitement for movies. I've not felt excited for a movie like I am for this one in a long time.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I don't know what movies are coming out that I'm actually excited for besides Deadpool Wolverine. But it's been a while since I've felt this excited.
I've got at least one that I'm looking forward to, and it comes out like next week, which is Fall Guy with Ryan Gosling.
Oh, that looks fun.
I'm a big, because I believe it's by the guy who did like Bullet Train and John Wick 2. I think it's him. I could be wrong, but I think it's him. And I'm a big fan of those films, so I'm sure this will fit right in. And the screenwriter has sold me by just being like, it's a rom-com. And I guess out of all the movies directed by that guy, none of them could really be considered a rom-com, so I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah, it'll be an interesting take. I have seen the trailer. I actually haven't seen the trailers. I've seen clips all the time. It's like they're always playing adverts somewhere, and I'm like, this looks like a fun movie. Right? Anything with Ryan Gosling in is a good. It's usually a good movie.
For me, like he is, like probably my favorite actor, and I love like Keanu Reeves, but like Ryan Gosling just as an actor might be my favorite because he literally fits into anything. He does comedy very well. He does drama very well. He does romance very well. Like, he actually seems to be one of the only actors I've seen who has, like, the only thing I think I haven't seen him in is a horror. And even then, I might be wrong. He might have done a horror film and I just haven't seen it. Yeah, so, like, he feels like he's covered all the bases, and it seems like you never have a bad time putting him in.
That's a fair point. It's like, I can't remember all the movies I've seen of his, but I haven't there hasn't been a single time I've watched a movie with him in and gone, this is shit.
No. The only it's funny because there's some films that you could probably cast him in. You know how like some people will say like, you know, this person could, what did they say? It was to do with Godfather. It's like Scorsese could do another, like could do a Tarantino film, but Tarantino could never do a Scorsese film. That kind of thing.
Right.
It's like that for Ryan Gosling for me because like Ryan Gosling to me could fit perfectly into Bullet Train. Into what's his name?
So you could say like Ryan Gosling could do a Brad Pitt movie, but Brad Pitt couldn't do any Ryan Gosling.
But I don't think Brad Pitt could do. Well, to be fair, I think he could do Fall Guys, but I don't think he could do like Blade Runner 2049 or Drive.
I really need to watch Blade Runner 2049.
Oh, it's so good.
I remember you saying
it's so good.
But I just haven't because I didn't watch the original. But I remember you also said that you probably don't really need to watch the original to appreciate it.
I don't think you do. I mean, you can. The thing is,
I'm not going to. It's boring as hell.
Yeah, it's not terrible, but I just don't think it's that interesting. Where 2049, I think, is great. Even just visually stunning. Like, I think it's a beautiful film. Here's how much I love Blade Runner 2049. At my work, we can obviously order in books. We don't normally get like novels or anything, but we can get like what we call like table books.
Right.
You know, it'll be like The Art of Spider-Verse or something like that.
Oh, okay.
One of the books that was kind of offered to is that I was like this close to getting. It was going to be like £40.
Jesus.
But I was this close to buying it. Was the storyboards for 2049. Just a book of storyboards. Like half drawings, and I was just like, I want it just because it's 2049. I love visually how that film looks.
I do need to look into it. I know, besides Dune, I know when you're passionate about a movie, they are usually pretty good. And I'm sure Dune is good, but it's not for me. So yeah.
I mean, the problem is that 2049 is great. The issue is that it's a sequel to a film that was a cult classic. So it's already bizarre that people thought it was going to make ridiculous money when the film that it's a sequel to is a cult classic, which means it didn't do very well at the cinema. It's very interesting because obviously you think of Blade Runner and you think like, oh, it's one of the greatest sci-fis ever. However, it didn't actually make that much money in the cinema. It was more like video release that made it popular.
See, I never know that. I never look into that. But I hear that a lot about like movies you really liked that came out ages ago, and they're like, oh yeah, proper flopped when it came out, and you're like, oh. That's depressing. I'm sure there was one fairly recently that just kind of. Oops, sorry. That's gonna bug me.
Happens a lot, to be fair.
Yeah, this is like stuff that just everyone shits on when it comes out, and then like ages later, everyone's like, "Oh my god, this is amazing," and then you're like, "Yeah, I said that when it came out."
Oh, I think the film that I still hold a big grudge for, that I loved, and just nobody hadn't seen it, was Dread.
It's such a good movie.
I love that movie. And I went to see it at the cinema, and I had to see it in 3D, and it was actually a really good 3D movie.
Nice.
And I was like, it was the only time I'd ever like really kept an eye on how much money it was making. Just like waiting, I was like, I really need you guys to make that money. And I think
need another one.
Literally, by the time I think it ended, it had just earned its money back, which technically means it wasn't successful because you really want to earn double the money you've spent.
That's
at least
depressing. Yeah, you want to make that profit.
So like I believe it was like a bit of a flop, and that's why like they were trying to make a TV show for Judge Dredd, and I don't even know if they're still doing that. That was ages ago that was announced.
I've heard.
I was still in college when that was announced.
Yeah, I've heard that I don't know if it's happening or not, but the talks is they're making a Judge show or a Mega City 1 show.
Yeah,
that Dredd. That Dredd will appear in from time to time, but it's not actually about him. And I'm like, I'm
gonna say what I think is gonna happen now. It's gonna be Dredd's going to appear a little bit. All the other judges will be the main characters. Dredd will become so popular that he ends up becoming the main cast in season 2, and then it'll just be a Judge Dredd show. That's my guess.
I have no problem.
I think they'll realize that everyone really goes towards him every time, and then it'll be like, those Dredd episodes seem to be the most popular ones.
It's weird when we make a show.
Let's get that actor back to play Dredd.
Carl Urban's Dredd is great. I think the 2012 Dredd is my dad's favorite movie of all time.
Oh,
like legitimately, if my dad is around and that movie is on, he will sit there and watch it all the way through. Or if he doesn't know what to do and he turns on Netflix and Dredd is there, he will watch it, and he loves that movie. He grew up reading Judge Dredd comics as like that's his like OG comic, and so he loves the Sylvester Stallone movie in its own way. I love that movie.
I have a soft spot for it.
Yeah, I mean, in Dredd lore, it's a pile of dog shit, but as a movie, as like is it a 90s movie?
Yeah,
like a typical Stallone 90s movie.
Yeah, it's one of those because I love Dredd comics. It's one of those things where the 90s movie gets like, technically speaking, the visuals of the city, like flying cars and like the big bustling city, correct. But everything else, like the characters, I mean, the cloning plotline is correct.
Yeah.
Everything else they were doing with the cloning, wrong.
Yeah, because I remember my dad loves that movie because it's like it gets the looks right. It's like the judges look like the judges from the comics.
Yeah.
The mega
the
cycle.
Giant eagles and stuff that you can barely move in.
Exactly, and the motorcycle is like from the comic, and it's cool. Plus, I love the gun.
The gun's sick.
It's just the way he says it, and it's like me and my dad will constantly quote that movie at each other. Like he'll randomly go off on the whole, it's like this gun yours if you pass training, and it's like the bike yours if you can never get it to work. It's like,
I love that film. You know what? You're making me want to watch 90s.
Do you know what? Every time I like look at clips or think about it, I'm like, God, I really want to watch this movie, but it's not on anything. It's like you'd have to like.
I now counter argument the podcast episode we just recommended. Where I recommend we talk about films that are considered bad, but we really like.
Ooh, that could be fun.
Yeah,
I would have to. That would be like the podcast I think a lot about beforehand.
Oh yeah, I'd have to properly go on my letterbox and go down the list and be like, what do I know that is meant to be horrendous that I really like?
I would genuinely have
I know Master of the Universe will be up there. The original, like, Dolph Lundgren one.
I have not seen it, but I'm a big He-Man fan.
It's not good, but I think it's very fun. I watched it not long ago after we watched the He-Man cartoon.
Yeah. Just
because I was like, fuck it. You know, like that little gnome character that's in the second season? Like the one that fixes the sword?
Oh, yeah.
That's from the movie.
Really?
He's literally a character from the movie. They made him canon.
Hey.
Which in a way makes the movie canon, which makes it even funnier.
Oh, I need to watch. Oh, you just know though, if we did that podcast episode, it'd literally be just like a shit ton of 90s movies.
Yeah, 100%.
That was like the peak of good bad films.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't even think of anything before. I think 2003 with Daredevil is probably the only one that would probably come close to modern. Although I liked Punisher, the original Punisher, but I don't know if that's considered bad. I'd have to look into what's really considered bad.
That's fair, yeah. It might be a bit of a wishy-washy episode where it's like, some people don't like this movie,
I'll end up
but
being
we
like, I think this one's good, and everyone's like, we all did.
Oh god, that's gonna rank me. I should have done what you do and like actually rank movies and keep a reference of it because it's all just in my head.
I highly recommend Letterboxd. I don't use it often, but when I do, it's so fun.
I'm gonna do that.
I can't recommend it enough.
But I didn't even talk about my dad's favorite movie is Dredd, the 2012 Dredd, and he loves Carl Urban as Dredd is great because he does Dredd the character fucking so good.
Both of them have like great lines.
Exactly.
I love I remember like the part that sticks out to me the most. And I remember being like 5 years old, running around with the TV remote pretending it's the gun, and I remember like my brother will like be chilling in his room, and I'll be outside of his door just being like, rapid fire, and I'll start blasting.
I did that exact same thing.
Whereas with Dredd's one, with the Carl Urban's Dredd one, it's just so much fun to just talk in the growly voice just in general and just be like, hot shot. Yeah.
It's like, what'd you say? I said, hot shot.
Mama's not the law.
I'm the law.
It's so good. I want to watch the Dreadfuls.
But that's what makes it so good as well. It's like, because they're so good but in their own ways. It's like, you got Sylvester Stallone who's just like, I am the law. Which is like very just demanding and like, I'm in charge. And you got Carl Urban who's like, she's not the law. I'm the law.
That's so
boom,
good.
Everyone dies. So good.
There's one of the famous scenes in the 90s movie that still gets me just because it's so like over the top and I love referencing it because the delivery is so like, again, I'm sure the director was asking for like a 7, but the guy who played Rico decided, nah, I'm going right to 11. And it's like, it's when he's talking to him of like, why did you arrest me? And it's like, because you betrayed the law. And his way of just being like, law is so over the top. It's crazy. Everyone go look that clip up.
Just look at clips from the 90s Dredd movie. It's so bad
I will probably
and great.
take this video and clip it in.
Oh,
any
please
second
do.
now.
Like it's like before I go to bed tonight, I need to see us talking about these scenes and then the scene behind after it. It's so good. It's like that bit when he's, I don't know if he's in the taxi when he's wrestling. It's like, oh yeah, but you had to do this, Mister. I am the law.
Yeah,
so good. I'm gonna have to watch this movie. It needs to be somewhere. It's like every time I try to find it. But yeah, I know like it gets. Sorry, this episode is mostly going to be about Deadpool, but we're currently on a Dredd thing and we're enjoying it. So suck it. What was I gonna say? I was gonna say something else about Dredd, but I forgot.
I need them to make another video game. Is what I want them to do.
Another?
They made a game called Dredd versus Death.
Right.
This is back on the PS2, GameCube, and Xbox days, I think. It was really fun. I mean, it wasn't a long game, and it was just a first-person
I was gonna
shooter,
say it's
but there
first
was
person
a
shooter,
thing you
wasn't
could do. You could arrest anybody,
Nice.
and it would just... Because in the comics, part of the joke is he's such a hard ass. Like, the most minus thing, like the littlest thing will put you in, like, the cells for as long as, like, a month.
Yeah.
And it could be anything from, like, littering 6 months in the cubes. And that's, like, the whole thing, and everyone gets mad because, like, oh, man, why did we have to get Dread? Anyone else would have given us, like, a little bit off or a warning. So in the game, you can just arrest people, and it just comes up random charges, and it'll be the most, like, ridiculous, like, loitering because he stood still for 2 seconds or something like that. Like, it just makes up the charges for you, and it's like, that's funny.
That is great. They should definitely make a Dread game.
Yeah.
I suddenly remember what I was going to say, and it's not even 100% Dread related. It's because Carl Urban was such a good Dread. Another thing that Carl Urban did that didn't get as much recognition as it should have is a TV show called Almost Human.
Oh.
Did you watch it?
No, I'm going to double check on
This,
my little screen.
while Stephen is Googling, I will explain to anyone listening or watching what Almost Human was. Almost Human was one of your many cop shows, but it was based in a future where androids worked alongside people, and so Carl Urban was a human cop who hates androids, so it's basically iRobot. But,
iRobot, yeah.
But he gets paired up with this relatively new android who... And it was those typical shows when he's like begrudgingly gets used to him and they get along really well. But it was such a good show. And Carl Urban was great in it. And the guy who played the robot, or the android, was also really good in it. I don't know his name, I'm sorry. But
yeah,
it only got one season. And me and my dad were very gutted when it was not renewed because Carl Urban was great.
I mean, I'm looking at it here and it does look good. It's not what I thought it was, though. I'm thinking of... Altered Carbon is the one I was thinking of for some reason.
Oh, I remember hearing about that too.
Even though I knew that Carl Urban wasn't in that, but I just got my head being like, what's the thing I'm thinking of? And I had to look it up. It's Altered Carbon. But yeah, Almost Human, I'll look into that because that looks right up my street.
It is really good because it's like not a dystopian future, but it's like the not too distant future with like androids being around, so crime's always a bit wishy-washy, like, oh, is it an android? Is it a human? What kind of thing's going on? And I don't remember most of the story, but I remember really enjoying it.
Yeah. You know what? I think I remember seeing the trailer for this, and I think I remember being like, I want to watch that, but I never got... I didn't see it on anything. Like, I don't even know what channel it was on for us. It's probably Sci-Fi Channel.
I can't remember where I watched it either. But I know it's only got one season, but I definitely recommend watching that one season. It's good. It was a good show. Yeah. If I could find it, I'll watch it again while I'm currently watching so many shows. Speaking, I can now segue to a different thing. Still talking about Carl Urban, kind of. Because as well as these roles, because Carl Urban, like Ryan Gosling, is fantastic in fucking everything.
Yeah.
Was phenomenal as Bones.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say Hank McCoy, but that's Beast.
Yeah.
the other Dr. McCoy.
We'll come back to them later. Yeah, no, he was good, Bones McCoy, yeah.
Yeah, he's just so great in that, which brings me to Star Trek, which is anecdote, because there's not much news going on in the world. I figured we could talk about what we've been doing in the geek world. And for me, I don't know if I told you about this, but I've had a month-long fight with Paramount Plus.
Oh.
Because... So essentially, my dad has an account through Sky, and me and him are both big Trekkies. And so for ages, his account just wouldn't let him use it. It's like he has it, but just wouldn't log him in. And so then I couldn't get onto it either. And it was driving us both up the wall because we both really wanted to watch Star Trek Strange New Worlds because we loved Anson Mount as Christopher Pike in season 2 of Discovery. And we want more of this. So I really wanted to watch it. Plus, Discovery was being moved to Paramount Plus as well, off of Netflix. Yeah. So if you want to continue watching that, and so like all the Trek stuff is on Paramount Plus. Yeah. So I was battling agents, and then my dad said, "Oh, I've got my account back. Here's the details." And I was like, "Great!" So I put the app on my smart TV, and then I put the details in, and it was like, "Yep, here you are." I was like, "Yes, here we go! I can watch Star Trek." And then I got it, and then every single time I used it, it would buffer like every 20 seconds. No matter what I was watching, it would buffer every 20 seconds. Which makes no sense because Disney Plus doesn't buffer, Netflix doesn't buffer, Amazon Prime doesn't buffer, YouTube doesn't buffer. It just all plays. So I'm like, what is going on? So I messaged my dad. I was like, do you have trouble with Paramount Plus buffering? And he went, yeah, every now and then. And I was like, okay, so it's not just me then. And then, so I didn't do it for like a couple of weeks. Went back to it. It's the same problem. I'm like, what is going on? I've updated it. It drove me over the wall. I had to sacrifice not watching Star Trek. I was legitimately upset and angry every time I tried. Yeah. And then one day, I Googled it like 15 billion times. And usually people are like, oh yeah, you just have to like turn it off or turn it on again. Or like rubbish. Yeah. Didn't do it. And then I was like, maybe it's just my TV. Maybe for some reason the app is not optimized on this TV. So I was like, I have other devices. Turns out you can get it on your Xbox. So I've downloaded it on my Xbox, logged in, perfectly fine. Like 4K quality, no buffering. I'm like, I could have done this months ago. So I have just been binging Strange New Worlds for like the last week and a bit.
That's the one. So I've seen bits of Strange New Worlds. I'm a little behind on a lot of my Star Trek because I'm a thing with Discovery where when it first started I was so against it.
I think I was too.
Hate prequels. And the reason I hate prequels is because you are from that point on beholden to the lore. You don't really get to be that creative when you eventually have to get to that place.
See, I feel like Discovery managed it well though. Yeah.
But like, was it season 3 or something? I don't want to spoil too much.
Well, season 5 is now coming out, so I feel like...
Okay, so as long as you've caught up, as long as I'm not going to spoil it for you.
Oh yeah, I'm personally on season 4.
Okay, so I'm sure in season 3 or someone, they go to the future.
Yes.
That's when I was like, right, now you're talking.
Here's what's really... how they do it really well.
Yeah.
And this is how... I feel like it's very clever how they got away with being a prequel, being able to do its own thing, is that straight off the bat, when you were on the USS Discovery, it is said, this is our new state-of-the-art, top-secret spacecraft. So it's like, okay, so no one's heard of this USS Discovery. No one knows what the USS Discovery is doing. So it's like, straight away, it's a prequel, but nobody knew what was going on, so it's fine, we can do whatever. And then it was a case of season 2, the whole problem, I don't remember what the problem was, but the whole problem that had to be solved was a case of, right, nobody can know about this. This is crazy. And then at the end, they choose to travel into the future to like save the universe. But then the Enterprise crew, or the ones that were involved, were like sworn to absolute secrecy, and they had to wipe Michael Burnham from the records of Starfleet and all this stuff. So Spock didn't have a sister because they did that whole thing where it's like, oh yeah, I'm the sister of Spock, and everyone's like, since when the fuck did Spock have a sister? Yeah. But then it's like, end of season 2, oh yeah, she didn't exist. But they definitely brought Christopher Pike in, I think, to Captain Discovery to like reignite an interest in it, because I think that early on Michael wouldn't have been able to carry the show as a captain. She does an alright job now, but very much Lorca and Pike were really good captains. And Pike was so good in Discovery, Paramount were like, okay, well this guy needs his own show. And so you probably hate Strange New Worlds though, because Strange New Worlds is a prequel to Star Trek.
I was originally like, I'm not a prequel, but they won me over. The cast won me over.
It's such a good cast.
Pike was so good that I was like, I can't fault it. I think it's just like little things. I remember when people were complaining about it because they were talking about how like the Klingons don't look like how the Klingons were meant to look in Star Trek, like the original series at first. So there was just like little things like that bug me where I'm like, it
doesn't canonically make sense.
Yeah, I know, but like, and it's that thing of like, it's fucking Star Trek. They're all in spaceships in space. None of it should matter. But there's still a part of me. It's just like, cause I'm not the biggest Star Trek fan. Like I'm usually like, I'm not Deep Space Nine fan at least. I like the original series. I like Next Generation, and I like Voyager. To be fair, Deep Space Nine is probably only my least favorite, only because I haven't like it was out when I was a kid, but I never like would sit down and watch it like I did the other ones. So it's probably the one I know least amount about. It just didn't seem as interesting to me where it's like, it's a space station instead of going around in space.
Yeah.
Like when someone told me that was the premise, I was like,
not as interesting. To be fair, though, if someone looked at us... what's the word? I don't know. If someone like looked in at how both me and you appreciate Star Trek, they would probably think you are more of a Star Trek fan than I am, because I have very, very little experience with the original shows. I have not seen any of the original Star Trek. I have seen a few seasons of TNG, and I do want to finish it. I do enjoy watching Next Generation. I have not watched any of Voyager. I have not watched Deep Space Nine. I have not watched Enterprise. but
Yeah.
I know a great deal about it because my dad has watched all of them, and he
Yeah.
won't admit this. I'll tell you a story in a second, but he's a huge Star Trek fan. He knows all this stuff, and at any point I can go up to him or I can message him and go, "Hey, Dad, what happened here? Like in this bit of storyline, like why does Picard not like this person? What's this about?" Or if I say the word Q, that man will not shut up for 20 minutes, and he'll start telling me about Q and all the different interactions he has with the Enterprise. So he's a huge Star Trek, and that's where I've absorbed my knowledge. But what got me into Star Trek was the J.J. Abrams movies, which I know a lot of original Star Trek fans don't like because they changed things, but I'm like, whatever, it's a new story. My dad loves those movies. Into Darkness is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Such a good movie. The cast is amazing in all of them. Simon Pegg is Scotty. You can't...
Yeah.
What?
Hard to beat.
Exactly.
I think they all did it very well, especially because, like, I think for me, part of the reason I love the J.J. Abrams films is because I was caught off guard of how much I enjoyed the cast. Not that I was, I didn't even know who Chris Pine was, I don't think, when that movie was coming out.
Yeah.
So I had no opinions on them.
I will... Sorry, you finish your thing. I'll interject mine afterwards.
Oh, sorry. I think it was the first time I ever saw Chris Hemsworth as well, I think, just before Thor.
I didn't even know Chris Hemsworth was in that movie. He was just an actor, and then it was something like, "Oh yeah, do you remember when Thor was in Star Trek?" And you're like, "What?"
Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't have known that. To me, he was just a guy as well. I didn't even notice him.
Yeah, exactly. But okay, so yeah, like you, most of the cast, about 90%, 99% of that cast, I didn't know really anyone ahead of time. The only person I knew from that cast was Zachary Quinto, because I was a huge Heroes fan.
Yeah.
And him as Sylar is phenomenal. If you haven't, I don't know if anyone's listening. If you are, if you're watching this in the future, if you have not watched Heroes, watch Heroes. It is so criminally underrated. Yes, it goes a bit shit the longer it goes on, but overall, it is such a good show. And
I have a slightly different opinion of that. I think Heroes is very good. It's on ITV Player, but mine goes. First season, phenomenal. You can't beat it.
Oh,
Then season 2 takes a dip, but that's because of the writer's strike, so I can't even blame them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they did the writer's strike at the time, because I was watching it. I'm going to say live, but really, my brother had a hold of them. But, we were watching it like the day after it was airing, and we were experiencing that. And you just, every week on season 2, you were like, when's it going to get good again?
That explains why season 2 is a lot shorter.
For me, yeah, because that's why, yeah. So basically, I think the way it's meant to work is season 2 is shorter because originally the first half of season 3 was meant to be the end of season 2.
Right.
And it kind of makes sense when you watch it because, like, season 3, technically for that first half, it's very kind of boring. Some stuff's happening, some stuff is interesting. They're setting up a lot.
Yeah.
And it kind of just quickly pays off at the end because they obviously couldn't write an ending. But then season 3 starts again, and the first half of it's kind of exciting. And you're like, oh, this is sick. We're getting back to it. And it's because that was meant to be how it ended. Like, I'm pretty sure the first half of season 3 ends. I don't want to spoil. I mean, I know we're saying
it's years ago.
But Peter's dad is like discovered.
Yeah.
I don't want to like say everything about it, but like that, just Peter's dad's there, and he gives him a hug. The thing happens. That was meant to be.
That
the end
broke
of the season.
me. Oh, that's such good. It's so good though. It's like Heroes is great. Just ignore that. It's some bot or something trying to get us to do some shite. Which is why I stopped talking before, because it popped up and I was like, oh, fuck off. But no, Heroes is great, and Sylar is phenomenal. Zachary Quinto as Sylar is, oh my god, probably my favorite TV villain of forever.
Yeah, and he's really good at like playing that character in very different ways.
Exactly, because you see him go through so many different things.
Yeah.
It's such a good show. Zachary Quinto on the show is phenomenal. Watch it. And so when I heard that he was in Star Trek and was playing Spock, I was like, cool. So that's what got me invested in Star Trek. And also, that's my second favorite Christopher Pike in the movies. He was a really good Christopher Pike. I think I cried when he died in the second movie. But Anson Mount is an amazing Pike. And last bit of Star Trek, and then I promise we'll start talking about what we're actually meant to be talking about. Funny anecdote is related to the new James Kirk in Strange New Worlds I think he's really good. I don't know his name.
Good. I've seen him as well in the show. I haven't watched all the episodes, but I saw clips of him. Loved him.
Yeah, it's like, all I know is that he's the dude from Vampire Diaries.
Yeah.
And so when I first saw that, I was like, that's the guy from Vampire Diaries. I wonder if he'd be any good. And now I've watched...
I didn't even recognize him.
Oh, I recognize him straight away. And I haven't even seen Vampire Diaries, but I'm like, I know him. And I saw him, and then I've watched season 2, and I'm like, oh, wow, he's actually a really good Kirk. I'm like, I don't know the original show, so I don't know the whole William Shatner Kirk, but I know bits of Kirk and the way he works. And so I'm just watching the way he's interacting with everyone. I'm like, I really want to see more of Jim Kirk in this show.
Yeah.
And I really want him to interact more with Spock. So here's the anecdote that I was on about. So last week I was on holiday. I went back up to Blackpool to visit my family. And a lot of the free time when we're in the hotel, we take our Roku stick with us. So any TV, we turn into a smart TV and we'll watch our shows. So when my girlfriend's getting ready, I'll put Star Trek on and I'll be watching Star Trek. And it was funny because I'll be watching it. She has no interest in it. She doesn't really know what's going on. But then suddenly Jim Kirk appears and starts talking. And she's a Vampire Diaries fan. So suddenly she's just like, who's this? I know this person. What's going on? And so she suddenly stood there like doing her hair or something. And she's like, oh, well, what's he doing? And I'm like, oh, he's Jim Kirk. He's talking to this. Like, okay, what's his relation with this person? What's happening there? And I'm like, so via this person playing Kirk, I've got my girlfriend semi-interested in Star Trek. And so it's fun. But I do remember... Exactly.
That's how we get them, boys. Put them on the background. Put on some of them Vampire Diaries. That's how we get the ladies, guys.
You gotta find the hook. You go like, this one little thing is related to this thing they like. So if it's on around them, there you go.
We hook them in. We get them with that nerd shit by getting those actors.
Oh, it's great. But
I do recommend the movies if you've never seen the other movies or the older movies.
Oh, I've seen Generations and First Contact.
First Contact is my shit, son. I'm all about that film. One of my favorite fucking Patrick Stewart speeches are in that film.
I couldn't tell you what it was. I've only seen it once.
It's the one, I'll tell you exactly, and I'll probably put it in a clip at the bottom if I remember, but it's when he's talking about how he refuses to sacrifice the Enterprise by blowing up, because everyone's like, just blow up the ship, get rid of them. And Kirk refuses to blow up the ship, and he's like, we're going to hold the line. They go no further than this, and like smashes up the place. It's very good. I've butchered that line, but I'll find it later and I'll put it somewhere.
That's the actual thing. Respect. Awesome. I could literally just keep going on about all this stuff, but
we should have done a Star Trek based.
We really should. Yes, let's do a Star Trek episode. I'm pretty sure this is like the third time we've talked about Star Trek on the podcast anyway, but we will definitely have to do a Star Trek episode, and I will say all the stuff I just said again in more detail. But no, anyway, so today's episode of the Two Geeks Podcast, we are wanting to talk about Deadpool and Wolverine, and just Deadpool in general to fill the time, if we can't somehow fill an hour and a half talking about that one trailer, which I think we probably can.
Yeah.
I don't know where to begin, so I'm going to let you take the lead on this.
Well, I mean, I'm glad. First of all, I mean, the first trailer for Deadpool, it was good. It set. See, again, I don't know. I think we've had this conversation before. I don't like the director of this film. I have not liked his other films before.
Yeah.
However, I am quite liking the way this film is looking so far. But that could be the nostalgia bait just grabbing me. By you dangle Hugh Jackman in a yellow suit at me, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'll give you some money. I'll spare a couple bucks.
I'll see that.
But yeah, no, I loved that this was very like Logan heavy.
Exactly, yeah, because the first trailer wasn't it? It was all like the whole idea of like, oh.
Yeah. He's only like a shadow in the first trailer.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I'm interested because again, it's very strange how the way they're doing these trailers, because the first one felt very like TVA from Loki, and we're doing this and we're doing this.
Yeah, like this is the story. Yeah.
Whereas in the next trailer, the trailer like this one, there's only like a little bit of the TVA, and I'm like, oh, they're not even going into the plot of the TVA stuff again. That's surprising. This is a problem I have with trailers nowadays, where like they show too much separately to try and like show you new footage, but by showing you the new footage, it makes you go like, well, I guess I could just kind of piece a lot of the film together if I really just take a couple of trailers together. You could just kind of mix and match. Whereas I've always been a sucker for like, just give me some new scenes, and obviously give me more Wolverine scenes, but like still maintain a lot of the first trailer. That's what you should be doing.
Yeah, it shouldn't
You
all
shouldn't be
be
showing
new.
off the same.
Yeah. But it shows you the impression of trailer making, because you could literally watch those two trailers independently and you're like, this could be a whole different movie.
Yeah.
It's like the first trailer, it's like, right, TVA are punishing Deadpool for something and getting him to fix something. The second movie, Deadpool's recruiting Wolverine to help him save the world. Okay, where did we get from A to B?
Yeah, you could genuinely convince me that like the first trailer is for a TV show and that this trailer is for the movie. Like you could easily be like, this one's the TVA Deadpool movie and this one's the Wolverine Deadpool movie.
I would agree with you there. Thinking back on it, that you could very easily convince someone those are two separate things, which is why I also suppose it will be interesting to watch the movie and see how it all links. But
yeah,
I think first off, off the bat, I have to say I'm very, very grateful to Kevin Feige whoever made the choice to allow Deadpool to stay R-rated.
Yeah,
and like we're having Deadpool and Wolverine drop the F-bomb at each other a lot. It's not even like every now and then. It's like I think every line Wolverine said in that trailer had "fuck."
they did. I did see an article today that it was like it has the most like fucks in a trailer for a superhero film, which not hard to do, but at the same time, apparently it's just a lot more than like one or two.
Evidently, yeah.
But like I'm interested in this Wolverine because they talk about in the trailer, the TV, like he failed his universe.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we're like, I know obviously Logan is separate.
Yeah.
But Logan also, I would guess, failed his universe. And I don't know if this is just a separate failing. Like, where am I going with this one? But at the same time, I'm like, because I didn't want that was my big thing, is I didn't want them to mess around with Logan.
Yeah.
I think Logan's a great ending to that story. It's sad, and I would rather it didn't happen. But I do think it's a great film.
True, yeah.
And I wouldn't want it to be tampered with just for a gimmick of like, and now he's in the Marvel universe.
I think it's definitely, with the power of the multiverse, I think it's definitely a Wolverine we haven't met. It's definitely like a variant of the Wolverine we know, but from a different universe. I did read some stuff. You'll know this more than me because you're big into the actual comics. But I did read that people seem to think it might be from a certain storyline where Wolverine killed the X-Men.
I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of different storylines where that's happened.
Fair.
I know. So Old Man Logan, which is kind of what Logan the movie was based on, that's he killed the X-Men in that one.
Oh, okay.
If I remember correctly, it's like Mysterio does an illusion that makes him think that the X-Men are villains. So Wolverine just goes berserk and starts slashing them. Jesus. And then he kind of comes to, and it's like Cyclops being like, "What have you done?" It's very dark. That whole book is very dark. It's also stupid, and I'm glad they didn't include all the bits. There's a point where like he's living in the wilderness, like in the desert, and the Hulk is in it, and the Hulk is like this hillbilly monster who has like had sex with like She-Hulk to make incest babies.
Right.
It's very bizarre, and like it's a classic. I don't know if you've heard of Mark Miller before.
I have.
But he is the epitome of edgy. Who just like likes to write stuff that like I'm sure, don't get me wrong, back in the day I'm sure I would have read that and been like, yo, that's metal as fuck. But now I'm at an age where I'm just like, yo, does it have to be this dark for nothing for a bit?
That is weird.
It is funny how I come completely around. There was a time where you couldn't pay me to read Captain America, and yet I would read the Ultimates, which is like the kind of edgy Avengers, which Mark Miller had a hand in. And I remember being like, yo, this is hardcore. And then cut to now where I'm like, yo, this is not Captain America. Where is my boy?
It is crazy how your opinions change as you grow up. I feel like you become more sensible and you're like, Jesus.
You didn't realize you missed it until it's really gone and you see it again. Like, there's a point where, like, I'm just going to quickly go on a tangent for a second.
Okay.
There's the Ultimate Avengers in the Ultimate Universe. There's a point where, like, without spoiling too much, there is a point where, like, Captain America beats up Ant-Man because in that universe Ant-Man like beat his wife, and Captain America, being from like the 1940s, tracks him down at a bar and just beats the shit out of him, being like, "Come on, we're going outside."
I think I've seen this.
And it just felt uncomfortable. Like
Right.
it just didn't feel like Captain America. There's also a part where he's fighting an alien, and this is the thing about the Ultimate Universe, is it was a post 9/11 universe.
Right.
So obviously it was very like, America, we're patriots, we can get through anything. There's a point where he's fighting an alien who's trying to take over the planet, and the guy's like, "You should just surrender, Captain America," and he literally points to his forehead where the A is, and he's like, "Do you think this letter stands for France?" And like decapitates him with the shield. And again, when you're a kid, you're like, "That's fucking metal." And then cut to oh god, what storyline is it? There's a bit in Hickman's Avengers, which is the more like, this is the 616 normal universe Avengers.
Okay.
And the Illuminati are like having a discussion about, there's this other world that like is kind of invading theirs, and they're having a proper discussion of like, do we destroy this other world? And Captain America stands up and he's like, "You are not destroying this other world. I don't care if it's what you consider the right thing to do. You have to go through me to do it." And you're like, "That's Captain America." That's what I'm talking about. And you think, again, cut to me, if I was a kid, I would have been like,
Oh, it's so boring.
Yeah, it's so funny.
That's crazy. Now you mention it, yeah, it's probably a lot of things that when you're a kid and like someone does something like dramatic, you're like, "Yeah, it's so cool." Then when you're an adult, you're like, "That is so unnecessary. Why would you do that?"
Yeah.
Oh,
A lot of that happens. But yeah, like, so that was the storyline of like Old Man Logan. I know they were trying to kind of make it seem like he killed the X-Men, so I wouldn't be surprised that they go kind of that route, because they didn't do that in Logan.
Yeah, because didn't they do a thing in Logan where they didn't really admit who killed the X-Men? It could have been a case of Logan killed the X-Men or Charles killed the X-Men.
It's very much hinted that Charles did it, and obviously it's because of Logan's healing ability. He just didn't die, but like, because of his Alzheimer's, he doesn't remember killing the X-Men, and it's just such a bittersweet, like, because that's to me, that's the most depressing thing about Logan. It isn't even just the Logan storyline, it's the Patrick Stewart Xavier storyline of like, yo, what a way for this guy to go out.
I know, right? The legend.
That's upsetting.
Yeah, that is sad. I need to give that movie another chance. I watched it once and it was like, it's a good movie, but
I went to see that film in the cinema twice. I loved that movie. Actually, my friend had it on like DVD, and you can get like the black and white version, so you watch that. It was superb.
Would you say it added anything to the experience?
Not necessarily, but it did have a grungy feel to it. Like it was one of those films that you were like, look, if you were going to put something in black and white, I do think that one fits. There was another one I saw that it was like Mad Max in black and white. That one I thought did not work.
No.
Because to me, Mad Max is so bright and colourful.
I was going to say, it's all like explosions and shit, isn't it?
Yeah. So the idea of putting that one black and white, I was like, I don't feel that.
It's kind of muted.
You know what film needs to be in black and white, and they still haven't done it, to me, is Batman 1989.
Ooh.
Like the very first Tim Burton Batman film.
Yeah.
That film was made to be like a silent film. No, I don't want it to be a silent film, but I do think it was shot to be like that, and I've seen people put it in black and white. It looks perfect.
It probably would look amazing, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, here's my thing with I loved that movie. It's like, I remember when my mum introduced me to that movie, because Tim Burton, she loves Tim Burton, like anything Tim Burton she's obsessed with, and she loves Michael Keaton. To her, who's Batman? Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
And so I remember watching those movies, and they're great. And I remember when he was announced to return to Flash, I got super excited, and I watched the trailer. I'm like, here's my thing. Here's my thing. Especially with nostalgia. Use nostalgia to get me to come to a movie. Use it to make me like bits of your movie. Don't use it just for the sake of using it and thinking, because I hate how he delivers the "let's get nuts" line.
Yeah.
Because in the original, it's like in a moment, and he's like, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts!" And he's like freaking
using
out.
it to distract Joker, because the Joker is obviously, he doesn't know Bruce Wayne is Batman, so Bruce is,
he's just acting
weirdo.
up.
He's wearing, at that point, like the metal tin under his shirt, so he's trying to lure him in to shoot him.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah, and then in the Flash, he just says it, and it's like, "Oh, let's go fight an army." He's like, "You want to get nuts?"
Yeah.
No, let's get nuts. It's like, what? It doesn't even make sense. It's like, you wouldn't say that. You're just saying that because you said it 30 years ago in a different movie. It's like, if you're
Yeah.
gonna say it, just make it feel natural, please. It's
That's-
shitting
like,
on
you want-
nostalgia.
You want to know who I thought for some reason said it better? Fucking Lego Batman. When he's like at the beginning of the movie, he's taking them all down. He puts on the playlist, and he said it's called the "Let's Get Nuts" playlist. So when he says "Let's Get Nuts," he's picking the playlist,
Awesome.
and then he starts beating them all up to his fucking song.
There you go. That works. See, that's nostalgia.
That's
that
the way
works.
of using it to me.
Oh, it just annoyed me. It's like they could have done so many great things with Michael Keaton's Batman, but I just feel like they really.
I liked his action scenes because obviously, you know, I mean, I'll be real with you. I remember when they announced him being in the film, I didn't think he was even going to suit up. I was like, there's no way this old man's going to go into a suit again. He barely even liked being in the suit originally, let alone in 2020, whatever the fuck it was, 2021?
Yeah, something like that, I think.
Or 2022? I can't remember.
I think it was 22. I think it was last
Yeah.
year, yeah. But,
So the idea of like getting him in the suit again, I was like, there's no way. And then when he came in the trailer, I was like, oh my god, we're doing it. We're putting that old man.
Batman!
He's 70 years old, and we're putting him in that suit. Here we go.
but for the sounds of it,
And
you
I
enjoyed
really
it.
liked the fight scenes. They're like, for me, they're my favorite part of the Flash.
Oh
movie,
yeah, yeah.
was,
It's like, don't get me
him
wrong.
taking down the nuclear base.
Exactly. It's like, don't get me wrong. I don't like what they did with him in general, but he is still the best part of that movie,
Yeah,
which
it.
tells you a lot about that movie.
yeah. So in the thing that when we're talking about, like, I don't know, because in the trailer, it very much looks like Deadpool is doing what the TVA wanted and hunting down this Wolverine. And it doesn't look like he's there to recruit him. It looks like he's there to like kill him. And I'm wondering exactly at what point they start working together, because I mean, obviously you see a lot of them fighting in the trailer, in like the desert, that little desert area. And I'm wondering if it's meant to be like a buddy cop film where it is maybe meant to be that Deadpool is like dragging Wolverine across, you know,
Like the
from one
multiverse.
area to another, and they just happen to keep getting into scrapes and they happen to work together. I don't know.
Maybe.
Do you know much about the villain in this film?
Is it the bald chick? Is she the villain?
Do you know who she is?
I saw a TikTok about her. She's called Cassandra or something, right?
Yeah.
Essentially, her whole existence is to dick about with Charles Xavier.
Yeah, so she's like his twin sister from the womb.
Right. So she has to be bald.
It's like the way so I only recently, it's only funny I even read, because I was reading the Grant Morrison X-Men recently because I was watching the show.
Right.
And she happened to be introduced in that run. So it was weird that just happened, like, you know, like we're living in a fucking simulation. All of a sudden she appears in the trailer and I'm like, oh, I know this. I know who that is. I would have been fucking lost if I hadn't read this recently. But like, from what I understand, it's like Xavier in the womb, like, killed her or tried to kill her, and like, you know, there weren't really twins, but like her mutant ability of like also having psychic powers and shit kind of made it so that her consciousness existed. And
I love the bullshit of X-Men.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. From what I understood, that's all I could get from it so far. Because I understand, like, from what I'm reading, her consciousness can go into like different bodies,
right,
or something. Because she does take over Xavier's body in the comics for a little bit, and like starts fucking around. Everyone believes it's him, even though it's not. But that body has to be like empty for her to invade it, to my knowledge. Like, she can't just invade anyone's brain. It has to be like a dead body or something to like be brought back. And at that point, Xavier's brain had been put into a different it's a whole fucking thing. But like I couldn't tell if they were hinting, because, you know, obviously Xavier is a great psychic, so you can obviously move things with his mind.
Well, no, he's not telekinetic.
Yeah, so like I couldn't tell if they were hinting at like magnetism that she's got as well, because obviously she makes Wolverine's claws go down, or if that's just
telekinetic, moving his arms.
Yeah.
Maybe. Do you think we're gonna have any, besides the X-Men cameos that we've been confirmed, like Toad, the lady with the nails, and
Pyro came back.
And Pyro, yeah. Do you reckon we're gonna get any like big name cameos?
See, now it depends, because now that they've said, like, he failed his universe, I'm like, maybe we'll see, like, a variant of something. Like, I feel like if you paid them enough money, you could get Halle Berry back for a scene.
True.
Like,
I feel like you could get most of them. I feel
Thor.
like, what's his name? Oh, fuck, I'm terrible. John Marston, or Marston. I feel like you could get him to come back as Cyclops easily. I feel like he'd come back and do that.
He's too busy filming them Sonic movies now.
Oh, I can't wait for Sonic 3!
Oh, we'll get into that. But like I think he's easy. Well, I think he'd be an easier one to get than most.
True.
Especially, I would hope. I mean, obviously, this film has now been like shot before X-Men '97 has come out, but like the popularity that Cyclops is getting all of a sudden.
True.
You know, for me, that's a no-brainer to be like, look, we got to go back and reshoot some scenes and bring that guy back and. We gotta see Cyclops do some cool laser shit.
Exactly, but not even that. But I totally agree with that. Here's what I want. Here's what I really would like, because one of my favorite things about the X-Men movies that came out recently was a lot of people's favorite thing, which was at the end of X-Men Apocalypse, where they had everyone in these almost comic accurate suits.
Yeah,
and they were fucking beautiful, and they just didn't use them. They were
the best looking suits they ever had.
Yeah, for 5 seconds.
And then you never see them in the next film.
It's so good, because then the outfit they're wearing in the next film is utter garbage as well. It's not even like decent. It
was furious when that film came out.
I think it's one of the reasons I haven't seen it. It's just like
it's not good.
Exactly.
We watched, so me and this is back when when we got Disney Plus and they'd put all the X-Men films, like me and my flatmate watched them all, and I hadn't seen Dark Phoenix yet.
Okay.
And I was like, here we go, a second bite at this apple. Surely they can't make the same mistake. Surely. And yet here we are. Worst thing you could have done, apart from maybe New Mutants. It just isn't a good film. You can tell what's her name who plays Mystique. She wanted out of there. Yeah. She was like, write that check. Bouncing. I'm out. I'm making that Hunger Games money, son. I'm out.
I don't want to be blue anymore.
Yeah.
But no, so yeah, that is my favorite bit of Apocalypse, is his outfits. And now we have this comic accurate Wolverine costume. So I'm like, okay, all I need is be it a flashback or a cameo scene. I just want one scene where we like maybe get the old actors or the new actors. I don't care. I just want to see X-Men Ensemble in comic accurate. I want to see a yellow and blue Cyclops. I want to see a Storm in her white gown stuff. I want to see Nightcrawler in his thing. I don't even care if Gambit is cast. I want Gambit to be there. I don't even care if he like says a thing or if you can see his face. I just want to see a tall trench coat and a stick, and I'm like, yes, I just want to see it.
You know what? If of all the cameos that I think would be funny to actually appear in that film, the guy who played Gambit in X-Men Origins would be kind of funny if he was in this film.
I would like it. I enjoyed him as Gambit in Origins.
Or, even funnier, you get Channing Tatum, who was meant to play Gambit in that fucking Gambit solo film they never made.
I think
get him in the trench coat.
I think they could do that really easily, because like Channing Tatum is the kind of guy that will say yes to anything. Like all the dumb stuff he's done, like cameos and whatnot. If someone came up to me and was like, right, we know you wanted to be Gambit in a movie, but that's not happening. Do you want to be Gambit for 10 seconds in Deadpool Wolverine? Yeah. And he would have been like, yes, I am there. So who knows? 100%. I think we should put a wager on that. I think that out of all the random ideas, I think that one has some potential. Just a Channing Tatum Gambit.
Yeah.
It's like the John Krasinski thing. It can happen.
That's true. Enough people, yeah. In terms of comic accurate suits, I was surprised a little bit by no mask for Wolverine.
I think this is some digital trickery. I definitely think...
like they're taking it off. I would say so as well.
I definitely think there's good... Because they have said he does wear a mask.
Well, here's the thing. And it's not even like a leak anymore. Because, I work in a comic book shop. We get Funko Pops. We order these things in advance. Sometimes they don't have pictures. Sometimes they'll just say Deadpool, Wolverine, Pop 1, Pop 2, Pop 3. And, I have to fucking guess because I never know what one's which. Obviously, I have to usually assume 1 and 2 will be Wolverine. But from then on, I'm like, we're going... I might as well just get 12 of everything, even if it's the most random side character. I had to make that mistake for Shazam 2.
Oh, Jesus.
Because they gave me, obviously, all the Shazam numbers. And one of them was this black unicorn. I haven't seen Shazam 2.
I have. It's
but I
actually
had
not
to
bad.
get like 12 of them, and we were just stuck with all of these fucking unicorns because everyone was just like, I don't want this, and I'm like, I don't want it either.
Nobody told me what it was.
Yeah, I don't want pop number 6 here. I want it gone. So for Deadpool Wolverine, they actually released it.
Okay.
You can literally go on a Forbidden Planet social media, and you'll see that they've shown what the pops looks like, and it's Deadpool and Wolverine. Wolverine's in a fucking mask.
Right. Well, I'm looking at Forbidden Planet on Instagram at this very second.
Yeah. So I think it's on. I know my one is the Edinburgh store. So you can just type in Forbidden Planet Edinburgh.
Yeah, I'm going to do that because Forbidden Planet in general has so much crap. Forbidden Planet.
It's literally the second post we have today.
Oh yeah, definitely has a mask.
Yep. So it's like, there's that mask there. Didn't see it in the trailer, which again I'm not that shocked by. What we were shocked by is like we were watching. So the trailer came out when I was behind the till, and obviously I'm not going to play the trailer with sound behind the till. So we just kind of watched it in silence, but we were like watching it to be like, oh, I wonder what they're saying here. And like we had the auto captions on and stuff, so we were watching it. And we were me and my friend Joe were looking at it, it's like, oh, those sleeves are coming off at some point. Like there's no way Wolverine doesn't take those sleeves off. And we didn't actually expect to see it in the trailer, but it's like fairly like a big moment that's in slow motion where he's walking out without the sleeves, and I was like, oh, never mind, they're on the we've got that in the trailer already. Surprising.
I love how massive his arms look in comparison to when he's wearing the sleeves.
Yeah.
It's like when he's got the sleeves on, they look quite slim, and then it's like ow, and they're like
ooh. Yes, I think I'll only pull off that cosplay with the sleeves.
Which we should make this. There you go. This right now is our unofficial official announcement. So this locks me into this agreement that we're going to do it. Me and Steven are going to do a Deadpool and Wolverine cosplay.
Damn right. I've already got the claws, so it's just
Oh no, internet! No, come back.
Crazy.
I lost you a bit through that. I already have the claws, and then you froze.
All right. Well, yeah. I've already got the claws. I just need the costume.
Awesome. I have nothing.
The hair can do its own thing.
Yeah, because I talked to my girlfriend about it. I was like, oh, me and Steven are planning on doing a Deadpool Wolverine. And she was like, oh, yeah, and he's got the hair for it as well. I'm like, well, to be honest, I think he's looking at getting
get the hair up like that or whatever. If I get enough gel. I mean, no amount of gel will ever keep this up, but we'll give it a bash.
Would you do the hair, or would you get the mask?
Now, that's the issue, is part of me wants to do both. If I was doing a con, I would probably try and do like 2 days. I would probably wear the same costume 2 days, one with the mask, one without, maybe.
That's fair. See, I've always...
Or, realistically, I would wear the gel will run out in an hour, and then I'll just put the mask on.
There you go. Look, logistical thinking. Because I remember when I first started cosplaying, I said to myself, I will never cosplay Deadpool.
Yeah.
It's like, Deadpool's just the thing everyone cosplays to be a dick, essentially.
Yeah.
But I'm like, in the regards of a group cosplay, I would do Deadpool. Yeah. I would do Wolverine and Deadpool, or Deadpool and Wolverine. And I feel like they could also run it into our X-Men group idea that we had. So it's like, you have your Wolverine, I could have my Deadpool, and then we could like recruit Henry in, and he could do like Cyclops, and we can just like slowly build an X-Men. Because, Deadpool technically isn't an X-Men, but he interacts with them a lot. So it's like, I feel like you can be part of that group. Have you frozen on me again?
Deadpool 2, the little like X-Men shirt he wears.
True.
Like the yellow and blue one.
I'm not a huge fan of that look, but
that's fair.
I agree with it. Hello, person whose name I can't remember. Smack62. I feel like we've seen you before.
It's my mother.
Hello!
Took me a second because I was like, oh.
Haven't seen you since episode 1. We're still here. We're still going strong.
She's still watching. She just watches usually after that. This is the first time in a while she's gone live.
Hey!
How she knew I was live, I don't know.
Because we're live every other Thursday at 7 p.m.
Forgot to post it on... Oh, well, did you post it on Facebook? Because I always forget to post it on Facebook.
I don't think I posted it on Facebook.
Well, Mum, I don't know how you figured out we were here. If maybe she just counted every 2 weeks and went, today'll be the day.
There you go. She just knew. Just back from shops, it comes up on my phone. Oh yeah, because she's a follower, so she'll get the notification when we go live.
Of course. I forget that could happen on Twitch.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us.
It's back from shops, and it comes up on my phone. Of course.
Well, here's my dilemma.
We're talking about me buying more expensive costumes, so.
But don't worry, I'm doing it too. So it's not a single.
Honestly, I'm still trying to wait because I mean, logistically, I'm still in theory meant to go to Thought Bubble.
Yes.
But as I said, there are plans may change, and if those plans do change, I might try and pivot towards MCM London, which I know can be a pain because you were at the last MCM, weren't you?
No, I haven't been to MCM in a while now.
What was the last con you went to? Because that con looked good.
MegaCon.
When's that usually?
That was January.
Oh, right. Oh, it wasn't even that long ago. In my head, that was like last year.
That was a good con. But
Yeah,
the only problem is it's fucking cold.
I don't mind MCM, but like MCM London, even when I was with Henry and that, the problem is that it's so busy.
Yeah, you just can't
It
get
just
anyone.
gets busier. And I remember I didn't go last year, but all I heard was like how busy it was and how many people there were, and it was just not a good time.
Yeah.
And everyone was saying like, let's go to MegaCon or something different.
See, I think we were talking about going to MegaCon Birmingham next year instead of MegaCon London because it's a bit late. It's a bit later in the year, so it's not as cold. Yeah. And I love Birmingham conventions. I love the NEC.
I've never been, so that works for me.
Oh yeah, I love it. So also it's in like the middle, so saves you some travel time. I was gonna say the hotel's probably cheap, but it's not. A hotel at any convention costs an absolute fortune.
Yeah, it'll be always the same with that.
But I'm trying to think of how I do it. But I think I don't know about you because you've seen a few options, but I think I found where I want to get my suit from. Because that link I sent you, I'm like, I feel like that's a really solid price for what you get, and you can get it with the mask and the shoes, and you can get it custom fit, and it doesn't cost an absolute fortune. It's quite fun. So I don't know if you were also looking at your suit from the same place, or if your other ones.
I was looking at the one you looked at. The only thing I would probably get separately is the is the mask that I showed you on Etsy.
Oh yeah, because
I'd probably still buy that suit from there, but I'd buy the mask from.
That's why
which again boosts my money up, but it'll be worth it, I think.
But that's why when I sent you the link and did the calculations, I didn't include the helmet because I'm like, you've already found one that looks a lot better. So that's what I love about that website as well. It's not like we're talking secret. We're talking about Sims cosplay. I don't know which one it is. I've never bought anything from there, but I follow lots of people on Instagram who have had cosplays from there, and they all look decent quality. And the reviews on the website all say really good things. But I do love that when you hit add to cart, it gets this menu and it says, are you adding shoes? Yes or no? Do you want the mask? Yes or no? It's like the Deadpool one. You have three choices. You got no mask, mask with eyes, or mask with magnetic eyes. So you can put them out. I was just going to go normal eyes because I don't need to change the expression. I don't really care.
That's true. I mean, I like the changing eyes mostly just so like it kind of lets you breathe a little more without having to constantly take.
That's fair. Just like pop your eyes up so you get some air.
Spider-Man one, I used to love just being able to just breathe a little bit and then you can just put them back in.
I think I'm so used to just not being able to breathe because I just wear like the Spider-Man mask for ages and it's like, oh well, I guess this is my life now.
Yeah.
But I feel like that Deadpool mask looks a lot easier to take on and off than some Spider-Man mask and other such things. Also, I am more inclined to do Deadpool now because it is an entirely masked character. And ever since I've got rid of my hair, it's like I don't know who to cosplay who I can get away with. So it's like a fully masked character. It works great for me because it just covers everything up. So I'm looking forward to that. However, that's already between £300 and £400 just for this suit. And then I'm like, right, and I need guns and swords. So I'm like, this is going to cost a pretty penny.
It's one of those situations where it's like, I would love to be able to be like, yeah, let's get our costumes and we'll do it, at the end of the year. However, logistically, will we both have money for the costumes, the con, the hotels,
the travel?
It's like, maybe it might have to be January next year at MegaCon. We don't know.
Or what we do is we try and both get our costumes done by the end of the year, and then at some point we meet somewhere and we do a little photo shoot.
Do a photo shoot, that's right. We can do, if we get the both, we can get the if we manage to get the Nightwing one as well, we can do a double photo shoot and get the Batman and
I need to be able to afford new hair as well to do that one.
We can work around it.
Bald Nightwing.
I think there is a version of bald Nightwing out there.
Sure is.
Could be wrong. I'm sure in the comics there was one.
I think there was as well, but I'm not a fan. But that would be cool. But I really want to do photo shoots, but I don't know any like cosplay photographers. It's like I know a couple of people who I've had little photo shoots with, but they're not like huge photographers. And all the photographers, I'm not shitting on cosplay photographers, but you very much have your groups.
Yeah.
And you like sticking to the same people, and that's fair to you. It's like you have a lot. You're always very busy, and you've got like the 5 people that you only ever fucking take pictures of, because I can see on your Instagram. You can't deny it. It's all you fucking post is the same 5 people.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And you always just drop me a message. It's like, yeah, but you don't give off, just drop me a message. You give off, these are my clients, leave me alone.
Yeah, I mean, there's a cosplay photographer, if she's still working, I haven't seen her in a while. I've never used her, but I mean, there was a while we were thinking of it. I remember I made a Evil Dead Halloween costume.
Okay.
And they're Scottish based. That's the only thing. Like, if we were going to use them, we would have to come to either Fife or Edinburgh.
Fair.
So if you and your girlfriend wanted to make a day of it, because Edinburgh's very like gothic, it was good for like a Batman photo shoot. But in Fife, in where my gran used to live, the Glen, there was a foresty area that looked, like Evil Dead. And I remember I took, because they requested like, oh, can you take some photos of the area and we'll see what we have to work with. And I had like planned to be covered in blood and stuff. The only reason I didn't in the end is that I didn't really have a job. Well, I had a job, but it was a fairly new job, and I hadn't really had the money, and I was traveling back and forward from Fife to Edinburgh all the time.
Yeah.
So I just never really got the money together, and then the idea just kind of fizzled away. Yeah. And I haven't really spoken to them again since. But in theory, they're the only ones I know personally who at least take photos that I trust.
Yeah, it's like
and they're like local to me.
That's always handy. So I had a friend I used to work with back in Blackpool called Brian, who became my unofficial cosplay photographer, and I did do a couple shoots with him. It's like me and a friend met with him, and we went into a multi-story car park in the middle of Blackpool, and we did a little Daredevil and Green Arrow photo shoot, and that was cool.
Oh, that's sick.
And there was another time I went out with him in my Spider-Man cosplay, and I went and climbed like a shipping container, and I was jumping around on that and climbing that, and then I went and climbed a tree. And so it was fun. So it is very fun. It's just getting over the being in cosplay in public.
That's it.
And getting the time to be able to do it and like book it in. And then it always depends on the weather as well. But I feel like it could be really fun doing Deadpool and Wolverine, especially if we both have masks, because it is a lot easier to cosplay in public if you're wearing a mask, because nobody knows it's fucking you.
Yeah.
And when there's more than one of you, it's also less awkward as well. Plus, Deadpool and Wolverine are just so iconic that I think it would go down well for anyone who saw it.
That's it.
And I feel
when I wore my Mandalorian costume, there was
so cool, man.
I went to, I walked. It was like free comic book day, and there was like a wee tiny mini con going on in a shopping center, and I was like, I'm in a costume already. I'll go have a look, because I was just promoting free comic book day in the shop.
Yeah.
So I went down. Just walking from my work to this tiny shopping center, like further up, I was stopped so many times for photos, to the point where like Starbucks people, like the workers at Starbucks, like stopped and ran out, and they wanted pictures of me and stuff. So I can only imagine how people would react if Deadpool and Wolverine are just walking down the street.
I'd do it.
Yeah.
I would so do it. I love it. I did when I did that Spider-Man cosplay, I was walking through my old Blackpool. I was walking around the big park in Blackpool dressed as Spider-Man, and the amount of kids and random people that stopped me and asked me like high fives and pictures, and it's like, yeah, sure. It makes you feel like a celebrity. I love it. Yeah. But yeah, I so badly want to do a Mandalorian cosplay. It's so sick, man.
I would recommend it. I mean, I need to actually repair a lot of my stuff. Like, I've wore it so many times that like bits are falling off, glue needs to be added because I don't know how to sew.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, all the kind of stuff that I used to do, like little mini repairs. They're still technically not screen accurate. I've never even bothered to get the real, like, there's like a little like a blue under bit.
Yeah, there is in there.
The armor, and I never got it. I've only got like this little cream colored one from the original suit, and I've just never changed it.
Hey, it's fair. People recognize it. Yeah. They like it.
Exactly. People know what you're doing.
Exactly. I really want to do Mandalorian, but it's just so pricey and so many bits to it.
I know. I mean, my one was actually cheaper than you'd think, but that's because it's all made out of foam, and I paid some guy to make it for me, and it was only like, I think for me it was like £100 for all of that armor.
That's not bad.
But obviously, there's a part of me now that I want to change it now. I want it to be proper, like even just like plastic, like 3D printed stuff.
No, that's fair.
But That's money. That's when it
Yeah.
goes up to like £100 to like 500 to 600.
I have so many
Yeah.
different Mandalorian armor sellers in my favorites on Etsy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, one day I will buy from one of you people, and I'm sure it'll be
Yeah.
lovely. But today is not
Exactly.
that day. I have a question for your Wolverine cosplay. Would you have the claws, like if you're wearing the gloves, would you have the claws on the outside, or would you try and get them on the inside of the glove so they're just sticking out?
I would love to try and get them on the inside, obviously, because the way that costume looked, it looked like they do fit like inside. Because the way that these kind of work is like I could easily like it doesn't really hamper me to like open and close my hand. So, if I'm wearing a glove and they just fit like that, I mean I would be fine just walking
just
around.
with your claws sticking out. I think I would
Yeah,
defaultly
like,
walk with my hands in a fist.
I think I would struggle to get my wallet out, but I don't think the costume even comes
It probably doesn't
with
have pockets. Yeah.
Yeah, so realistically, I'm already screwed on that front, so I might as well just stick to it.
I remember I had a pair of Wolverine claws, and I just would literally sit with them in my hand all the time for no reason.
Yeah,
It's
well,
just-
it's because they don't hurt. They barely
See,
feel like anything.
that's because you got like a proper man hand, whereas I have Skeletor hands, and evidently the gaps between my fingers are not the same as the average person's. Because I
Yeah.
have proper scrawny fingers, and so
Well-
half the time those little bits would just dig into my actual knuckles. Whereas
Yeah.
they fit quite nicely between your fingers. Whereas for me,
Well, my problem is just like little things where like the gap that you can maybe I'm trying to see if I can get it on
Yeah.
the camera. The little gap that's there annoys the crap out of me.
but to be fair, if you're wearing gloves, that would fill that gap.
Well, that's why I'm like I mean I thought I had a pair of like fingerless gloves in here, and I probably do. They're probably hiding in a cupboard somewhere. But I really wanted to like cut little holes and see how it would look coming out of a glove to see if that looks any better. But
True, it probably would, because it gets rid of that like gap element, and it probably look a lot
Yeah.
more natural. And you can't see the handle as well if it's in a glove.
yeah,
That'd be
and
so
I
cool.
can absolutely let it go, and it won't fall off. Even though it doesn't really fall off now, I just don't have to
You'd have to
keep
think about
hold
it,
of it at all.
but no, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, back to the movie. This has been a really shit Deadpool episode, but I don't care. I've been having a good conversation, and that's the main thing.
We're covering all bases.
Exactly. It's an episode 1 kind of day.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, how do you feel about Wolverine no sleeves and the shoulder things gone?
I don't know how I feel because
So
I did
I
see
want
a
the
lot
shoulder
of people on the
things there.
internet talking about the shoulder things being because it would be perfect if
Yeah.
the shoulder things were on.
And so don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for a sleeveless Wolverine, but I feel like
Yeah.
you're just missing out because it's like that's the Wolverine look is with
Yeah.
the shoulders.
You're
and,
so close. You
and
have it.
Yeah, exactly. It's there. Why did you get rid of it?
And there's a point. Maybe that's later on in the film. Maybe he does have them after the things
True.
are ripped.
I was doing
So
a proper.
it's possible we will see it like that.
I was
Who
doing
knows?
a proper like analytical staring at thing because in the trailer there's the bit when Wade's saying, "I don't know how to save the world, but you do," and then it cuts to Wolverine in a car saying, "I'm no hero." And
Yeah.
you can see he's got the shoulder bits on, and then you can just see underneath it. And I'm staring at it, trying to figure out if that is skin or if that is sleeve. I'm like, I need to know. I might get this up right now. I was gonna hold it to the camera. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm gonna do it. It's like just because this is what today is. So yeah, it has to be. I just for my own happiness, I need a sleeveless Wolverine with shoulders.
The part that something that I used it as the advertisement for this show as well, is like I really do like the two parallel "Let's fucking go" moments.
I very much like that.
Yeah.
Let's fucking. Oh, give me a second.
No, we're gonna get copyright striked.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was holding it next to the phone. Oh no, yeah, that's definitely a sleeve. Oh yeah, I was definitely looking at it.
Well.
Like this. Yeah, that's annoying. I don't know if you can see it. There you go. I'm going to share some footage. It shouldn't be loud. Anyway, that was the bit I was on about, and I couldn't tell, but now I
Yeah.
can see and go, like, that is very yellow. That is a sleeve.
Yeah. Which is a shame. We might make it work.
Is that?
Oh, someone else is talking.
Oh, I need this movie to come out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Someone else is saying hey.
Oh, hello, claustrophobic. Nice. I feel like that is also a name we've seen before. Gesundheit.
Oh, thank you.
Is this a name we've seen before? Because normally, if it's a new person, it says first time. If I click this, they have sent 12 messages. I'm terrible. I'm just awful.
Well,
It
I
is.
find
It
out
is
that
something we've seen before. I'm sorry. It's like
I'm constantly trying to remember people that joined us.
true. Yeah. It's the case of it's every 2 weeks, and we have different people talk every episode, and everyone has like Twitch names.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't recognize my own mother's
There you go.
email handle as I saw it there.
Oh, they're disappointed in you, Steven. That is not me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What else can I say about this movie? About this trailer? Just like I said. Oh, I really loved the drug joke at the end of the trailer. Was it?
Yeah,
meth?
yeah.
It's just like no. Feige was very specific. This is the one thing we can't do.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so fun. I also love the fact that he's not scaring away from mentioning Feige by name and the MCU and just being so meta about it. Love it.
And like, there is an element though that like, I don't know how you felt about She-Hulk. I really liked She-Hulk, but even the joke about Feige at the end with the robot.
Yeah.
And that there is a part of me that's like,
Which
you know, in this universe, am I hearing about Deadpool talking about actual Kevin Feige, which I know deep down that's probably what it's meant to be, or is he talking about the weird robot that's in She-Hulk?
Well, here's the thing. In She-Hulk, that was Kevin.
That was Kevin, that's right.
Whereas in Deadpool, he's referring to Feige. So I'm going to assume...
I'm with you. Yeah. So it must be...
Yeah. It's like, I didn't mind She-Hulk in general, but I did think that whole last episode was a bit like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So, but overall, I don't mind it. If they make a season 2, I will watch it. I'm not as depressing.
I don't think they're planning to, but I really enjoyed it. I had a good time.
Yeah.
I wish they
laugh.
did.
I won't lie, Daredevil was the best thing about that show, but...
Yeah.
It's just how he is.
That's true. Speaking of which, actually, I don't think we've ever talked about this so far. Did you ever watch the Echo TV show?
No. I was going to...
I didn't either. However, the Daredevil scene in episode 1?
Yeah.
Class.
I've heard good things. I just haven't got around to it.
It's so good. You just watch that clip. You find it on YouTube. It's so good.
I will do that. But I remember when it came out was around the time of MegaCon, and I bumped into a certain individual that we both know, that I shall say nameless because I'm about to drop them in some shit. And I was talking, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I really need to watch Echo." And they looked at me and he went, "Dude, don't. It is so shit. It's terrible. It's awful." I'm like, "Okay, I just won't watch Echo then."
Yeah,
so
I
just
didn't
haven't
look.
to it.
It didn't look that interesting to me, but I knew that Daredevil was meant to show up, so I was like, "Here we go."
Yeah, so I was gonna watch.
I really thought it was gonna be like the last episode. Nope. Episode 1, maybe not even halfway through. He just shows up.
It's a flashback, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But like, it's funny. Like, this is why I'm so looking forward to the new Deadpool show, because like.
You mean Daredevil?
Daredevil, yeah, sorry, the new Daredevil show, because he just steps into it like nothing happened. Like, Charlie Cox just comes out there, and like he only has a few lines in the Echo show, but already you're just like, yo, this is sick. And it's perfect. Like he delivers a line, does some action, and moves on. And you're like, man, that was sick.
He's just great. No matter what he does as Daredevil, he can just appear. It's like he was in like 2 scenes in Spider-Man. Phenomenal, and it was just Matthew Murdock. It wasn't even Daredevil in that. It's just great. It's like, have you seen the set photos of John Berthenol on set?
Yeah.
Yes. Return of the Punisher. Yes. Oh, that's gonna be such a good show.
I think I know what story they seem to be doing for that one as well, so I'm interested to see how that goes.
I do not, so I look forward to witnessing it.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I'm so excited for this show. I still have no idea when it's coming out. Is it like 2025?
I think they're still doing post-production on it. I think they finished filming, but they're still doing post-production, so it must be next year. If not, to be fair, if not the end of this year, because, you know, they finished filming, I think, in February, and then, you know, you can give it a good 6, 7, maybe 8 months of post-production. We'll either see it maybe early 2025, late this year, who knows?
Maybe. I'm looking forward to either way. It's like, I love the Netflix Daredevil, and the fact that they've pretty much brought back the entire cast now. It's like, yes, just more. Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be class.
It's gonna be great. However, we have Deadpool first. When is that coming out? Is it June or July?
June, I think. Oh, maybe it's July. Because I remember it being sooner than I thought.
Yeah.
But still, like, a good few months away. I want to say June, just because I feel like that's the date that would have took me by surprise a bit more.
I think it is June, yeah.
Yeah, like when I saw it, and I was like, "Oh Jesus, it's only a couple months away."
Yeah, I need to make sure I watch that the day it comes out. I cannot have the internet ruin that movie for me.
100%. I'm sure I'll see it.
And then we will ruin it for everyone else on the following podcast when we have an actual Deadpool episode where we'll gladly talk about.
We'll talk about it. We'll probably go a little bit more into detail than we did with probably Godzilla. But that was us recounting all the Godzilla films.
Exactly, but that was a general Godzilla episode.
I'm not going through every single Deadpool film.
Well, I suppose there's only 3.
That's true. That's true, and I don't think they're really that plot heavy. To be fair, to go
exactly, you could blitz through Deadpool and Deadpool 2 very easily.
Yeah,
they're good movies. Deadpool is better, in my opinion.
I wonder if Cable might appear in this new one.
That's what I was thinking. Like, I feel like he might make an appearance like at the beginning, maybe. You know, where I'm assuming that's the beginning when he's with all his friends
having
and
like a dinner party.
Yeah. But yeah, God knows. Depends. I don't know. He's been busy with Dune, hasn't he?
True. Yeah, probably hasn't been around to film as much.
Crazy.
I can imagine them maybe getting just a tiny cameo of like him
just
on a phone call.
Fuck
something.
this, I'm out.
Yeah. But yeah, no, we'll see. I'm definitely interested to see how it all fits together, because obviously we're talking about the fact that like, the potential villain is the Xavier twin.
Yeah.
But how they fit into this, I don't know. Is it like a frame up? Did they actually kill the universe and it's Logan now getting redemption? I don't know.
There's so much about it we just don't know, and I think it's what I'm enjoying so much as well. It's like I'm literally going into this movie. All I really want out of this movie is Deadpool and Wolverine together, and I know it's in it. So whatever happens, I'm probably gonna walk out of this movie happy.
That's true.
It's just all the other fun stuff that's happening in between that I'm very much looking forward to. I do find the giant Ant-Man corpse pretty sick. That's awesome. Yeah. I love the way it's integrating, that's not a word. Integrating is the word I was meant to say. Little bits of MCU in with Fox stuff, and it's like, yes, you're bleeding it together, it can work.
Yeah.
It works. It's like, yes, you have the MCU Ant-Man helmet, you have these Fox characters, you have the 20th Century Fox logo buried in the desert. Because you can just, I don't know why, I never would have used to think that you could have a movie be so meta and it not ruin it. Whereas I think this is going to be perfectly fine, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, I wonder.
Jesus.
I wonder if like the only other thing I'm a little worried about, even though we talked about this before, I love the X-Men theme from the cartoon.
Yes.
But there has been little bits in the MCU that have taken a bit too many liberties with that theme in recent times. Like when
there's
like,
2 I know about.
Marvel.
Yeah, it appears in Ms. Marvel, and they did it in Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not again. I mean, if you're gonna do it, I beg you to do it. Like the cartoon, do it like a big action scene, so I can really get amped up with the theme.
Or do it for my little cameo idea where you have the team all in their aesthetics. For like the flashback of like how the X-Men like died. Just
I don't just want it to be. I don't just want it to be
a sting.
Yeah, I don't want it to just keep like. I don't want to hear, oh, Charles Xavier. Like I don't want to hear the name and then just hear the theme playing in the background just because he was mentioned.
Yeah.
I do want it to feel worth it.
That being said, I agree with you. I love that theme, and I will never skip that theme when watching X-Men 97. However, I also love the movies theme. Like it's so awesome. So if they can sneak that in, I will be happy.
That would be class. Yeah, like I don't know if you go on Spotify, someone has edited those 2 themes together in like this sick little theme. Like it plays like the X-Men cartoon theme first, and then like does a great transition into the movie one, and then goes back to the X-Men cartoon.
I'm not going to listen to it now, but I'm definitely going to fucking find it.
I'll try and tell you exactly what one it is.
X-Men
I'm pretty sure I just put it under 97. X-Men 97 when I found it. But yeah. And like, just very quickly speaking of X-Men 97, are you all caught up?
Annoyingly, no. I literally had the latest episode on my TV a couple of hours ago. I was halfway through an episode, and then I got a phone call. And then by the time the phone call, it was 6 o'clock, and I was like, damn, I need to go eat some food, and I need to make sure I'm ready for this podcast. So I'm about 20 minutes into the most recent episode. So I've seen Captain America.
Yep.
And so I'm like, cool. And that's about as far
Some people thought he was very out of character. How did you feel about him?
Well, here's the thing. Well, because I'm not a huge comic book guy like yourself, so I have less experience with him. I thought he was very much... Because here's the thing. Are people comparing him to MCU, or are they comparing him to Captain America?
People are just comparing him to just him as a character in general, because like a lot of people were talking about how everyone thinks he's like just a government lapdog who will do whatever the government says. True. Where like that's not usually how he's portrayed. Like there is a comic panel where him going into the White House and demanding something and then being like, well, you don't really have the clearance. And it's him being like, I serve this flag. You'll tell me what's going on. But at the same time, some people were saying that it kind of does dig into the... Because in the comics, every time there's like an X-Men problem, the Avengers aren't usually there. You know what I mean? To help. And it feels very like, oh, we don't get involved with mutant problems. And some people did say that it felt like a kind of dig at that. Yeah. So they felt like it was kind of brave.
That could be true. I thought it was very much... I didn't get like the proper Boy Scout vibe of, you know, slave to the government. I got the vibe of... Because I understood his point when he said, hey, if I walk into Mexico dressed like this and start beating people up, that's going to send a message. I'm like, that's a very good point. That, you know, that's smart. Yeah. But then... It did catch me off like a bit weird when he said, once I get permission, me and my team can go. And I'm like, when does Captain America need permission to, you know, save people or save the world? Like, that's a bit...
In fact, that's entirely what fucking Civil War is about.
Exactly. It's like, I believe the line is, in Infinity War, is like, I'm not asking for forgiveness and I'm way past asking permission. Or something like that,
Yeah, something like that. It's like... Yeah. I mean, it hints that the Avengers are in that universe, because I don't know how much you've watched of all the old 90s Marvel shows in general. Did you watch the old 90s cartoon of Spider-Man?
No, but I do know there was like different bits of interchanging, because I know there was the bit when he's like, oh, I need to recruit a team, and he gets Captain America, he gets Fantastic Four, he gets Storm. So I know they are all related, but they just don't really...
Captain America, from what I remember in the 90s show, like, he is woken up in modern time, but he goes back into this like time portal at the end to like fight Red Skull for eternity, and then obviously appears in that Secret Wars, and then as far as we're aware gets taken back to that wormhole. But apparently at some point he will appear, because we know that they take place in the same universe, because the X-Men appear in the Spider-Man show at one point, and it is those X-Men with the same voice actors and same look, and the theme plays and everything. So sometime between the end of the 90s Spider-Man cartoon and the end of the X-Men, somehow Captain America's going to come in
and come back.
I guess start the Avengers.
How do you feel about Rogue's actions? I don't know how the episode ends, so I don't know how that bit ends, but what do you think about her going like ballistic and just...
I understand it. Because I know we haven't really talked about the big thing that happened in episode 5.
We didn't know, because I watched it like... like 20 seconds after that podcast. I remember I texted you like half an hour later saying, shit.
Like, the Gambit death took me by surprise.
I legitimately thought he wasn't dead until I just watched this episode and they buried him, and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. I did not see it coming, and don't get me wrong, I do think it'll be changed.
Oh yeah, I don't think he's dead.
I think the second you introduce Cable and you have time travel involved, I'm like, never mind, this is going to get fixed, hopefully, at some point. But, like, still, the way he went out, though, sick.
Badass.
Once again, that theme played when he crashed through the window to help the other mutants, and just, again, there's me rocking out to the theme as he's kicking ass. Only lasts a couple seconds, but it was worth it. And then the big thing happens to him, and it's a shame.
But he did it in such a hardcore way.
Yeah, and her voice, like, breaks me, and I feel bad. Well, not feel bad, but like the voice actress, you know, she's the same voice actress from the old show. Yeah. So that actress is like a lot older, and there's an occasional time where I can hear that because obviously she's an older lady. That. Yeah, like, you know, she's like, I think someone told me she's like in her like early 50s, late 40s.
Right.
And there's this, and you know, she's meant to be playing like a 20-something-year-old, I think. And you can kind of hear the voice, but that's not even what I want to bring up. It's the breaking of when she's holding Gambit,
Yeah.
and she's just like, "I can't feel you," broke me.
See, this is where I benefit as not being a huge fan of the original show, is I don't have this like years of connection with the characters, but I can understand it.
Yeah.
It was crazy. But then, literally, the following episode, they reveal Charles Xavier is alive. So it was like, right, so how much do I believe that we've just killed off Gambit if the person who was dead before the show started is alive?
Yeah, like, because I knew it was very convenient with Xavier, and I was like, and I know that's happened before, where he has gone off with like is it the Kree or is it the Shri? I can't remember their names. I think it's the Kree Empire, right?
Yeah, but I think they were fighting the Kree Empire, the people he's with.
The Shi'ar or the Shi'ara, one of those ones.
Yeah, one of those.
I can never remember their name, but like he has like had a girlfriend, as we saw in the episode, from her before. So again, as soon as I knew that it seemed like they were hinting they were coming into it, I was like, oh, he's gonna be there, because it was all very convenient of like not us seeing his dead body, things like that. Usual shit of like, if I don't see a dead body, no one's dead.
Exactly. It's like how you bury a coffin. I'm like, I've not seen the body in the coffin, so is he dead? Because like, if you want to confirm the dead, you showed the body with the coffin getting closed. Nope, you just showed me a box getting put in the ground.
Yeah, that's why the Gambit one got me, is because like I see his dead body, I can believe he is dead.
That's fair. See, I still didn't believe it though. I thought you might have just been like.
Oh, I mean, we'll find out. I think it's 2 episodes left.
That's scary.
Maybe 1. I can't remember, but it's definitely, I'll tell you this, it's heading towards something. I don't know what that something is, but we're going in a direction.
Yeah, I have no idea either. I don't really know much. Yeah. It's also where it's like, what happened to Magneto?
Well, apparently he's dead as well.
It's like things like no one's mentioned it. No one said like, oh, we can't find his body or anything. They're just like, oh yeah, Magneto's there.
Everyone, there was a lot of people talking, like, in the episode with Xavier, when he senses that Krakoa has been like attacked and he sees Gambit dying, like he sees the skeleton, and everyone was like, convenient that another character who was meant to have died, one of Charles' closest friends, has not been sensed.
Yeah, it's like you would think Eric dying would have broken.
There's a lot of suggestions, but we'll see.
Crazy. Do you know what's really funny is that literally when I was thinking about the podcast today and what we're talking, I was like, okay, well, we'll do Deadpool and just doing like general cinema excitement. I was planning on talking about the game, the first couple of movies, and then we're now at an hour and 44 minutes, and we've talked about everything else.
I mean, we went around from Dread to Star Trek. It's all here, ladies and gentlemen.
All here. It's the two geeky guys talking about geeky stuff. It's like we give you a rough idea of what we want to talk about, but if we talk about it, who knows? You have to listen to find out.
God forbid, when we have a guest and there's 3 of us, jumping subject to subject.
I know that's going to be terrible because, like, we all know that our first guest is probably going to be Henry, and it'll be the 3 of us. And I know the 3 of us together will just be like, oh, that reminds me, blah, 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 blah. Oh, that leads me to this, blah, blah, blah. I don't think we can... It's like we have an idea for what the episode would be about, but I genuinely think it'll be a very loose idea. It's like, this is what we want to talk about. However, we're gonna waffle. But, yeah, that's crazy.
That's what we do.
That's what we do.
Roll.
It's like
we roll in this geeky podcast.
Exactly. It's like we're not gonna like limit ourselves to one topic. It's a case of we want to focus on one. We're gonna try to focus on one, but in the huge, expansive world of geek, there is a lot going on, and you go through different phases of being obsessed with different things. So it only makes sense. I was going to give you an update because I told you how I'm getting my girlfriend to watch all these geeky shows, and we're currently making our process for them. We are now on Matt Smith, Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're on season 5, and I don't know why, but it still feels weird for me for it to be Matt again. And I'm like, this just feels weird because David's my doctor, and so doing the whole thing again, it's like, yep, this is going to take a minute to get used to again. But I know it's good. It's like, I'm looking forward to watching it. There are some episodes I'm really looking forward to seeing again. But it's still messing with me.
That's the thing. It's, some episodes... I mean, I think it definitely benefits from being, like, binged in some way.
Oh, yeah.
Just because, like, back in the day when you watched it weekly, there was some episodes that I was like, I wasn't a big fan of that one.
I can't believe I waited 7 days to watch that. Yeah.
Yeah, now when I watch in succession... I very rarely find an episode I don't like rewatching. I think in all of Doctor Who there is usually only like 3 episodes that if I'm not in the right mood at all, I will just be like, move on.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm saving this for
They're
a
not
Doctor
even
Who
bad
episode.
necessarily. They're just not my favorite, so I'm always like out of here.
That's fair. Yeah, we'll go more into that on a Doctor Who episode. We have to have a Doctor Who episode at some point, and
100%.
we will.
The show will be back in a few weeks.
True. That is the episode that will 100% just be about the thing that we talked about, because it's so much of my life is Doctor Who.
100%.
So yeah, we'll definitely feel that. Also, we have just finished season 1 of Smallville. Finally. If people haven't watched Smallville, there's like 23 episodes per season, okay? It takes a long time for a season of Smallville.
Yeah, because I think we talked about this a little bit before, where it's like, I wasn't a big Smallville guy at first. I didn't really get into Smallville until season 5.
Wow.
Like, my brother used to watch it all the time, and I just wasn't digging it. I especially didn't like the first couple of seasons when he's in school. Because it was very fluffy, which is like what it was meant to be, but it just wasn't grabbing me.
Yeah.
But then, like, when you start actually going to Metropolis, that's when shit was like kicking off for me. That's when I was like, "Yo, this show's getting good now."
He's finally doing Superman things.
Yeah, for real. Season 6 has one of my favorite like moments.
Right. Okay. Well, quick off, Georgie. If you're watching, stop watching right now. So me and Stephen.
I won't go.
I want to know what you're on about. I can't remember it. Okay. George, if you're here, go away. Don't watch this bit. This is your warning. Okay. Spoilers for season 6.
Okay. So it's actually at the beginning when he comes and finds, like, it's like after Jimmy has like died.
Yes.
And he comes back. He's wearing like the black suit with the silver Superman logo, and he saves like Lois right at the beginning, and like the camera it's such like a superhero moment where the camera pans up, and I might be thinking of season 7 the more I think about it, but he like stands on top of the roof, and it feels very Batman, but he's wearing the long black trench coat with the silver Superman logo, and the music is playing, and it's just it's sick.
I don't want to be a dick, but you're on about season 9.
Mine was season 9. That's how
he didn't wear that outfit until season 9.
There you go.
And then he changed that for the red and blue in.
Yeah, which I wasn't huge on the jacket one, but
yeah, that jacket's not nice.
I wasn't a fan. I loved the black.
The Blur outfit is his best outfit with the black trench coat.
And you know what? Now you're saying it, I know you're 100% right. You know what? But season 6 is when Arrow comes in, isn't it?
Oh, probably, yeah. Green Arrow.
That also has my sick moments, because I loved Green Arrow in that show.
Me too. So, I was
one way or another, I've managed to spoil 2 things for 2 different seasons. One way or another for George. For you're gonna have to warn her.
To be fair, it's that far away that I imagine that I will have forgotten this conversation by the time we get there.
Banter for everybody involved.
Exactly. But yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I could go into it. Yeah, we're not gonna go into that. But yeah, at some point we'll talk about all the different things in Smallville. But it's
just a very quick little Superman add-on for this.
Yeah.
Because it was his birthday a little while ago.
Oh yes, it was.
Have you watched the animated show
My Adventures with Superman? Yes, I have.
Oh, thank God. Just because, I mean, if you hadn't, I was going to say, because I didn't know it was on Channel 4 now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I binged the shit out of that show again. I mean, I'd already seen it, but I was binging it again. And I absolutely love that show.
I really enjoyed it.
So fun.
I like the new take on it. I know some people thought it was like, oh, it's like, why is Superman like a magical girl now? But I find it interesting. I'm a bit cautious about the whole Kryptonian thing and what Jor-El's going to be like and whatnot. But the characters I love.
It's mostly the characters I love. Really, when I say I love it, like plot-wise, it is very hit and miss. Like all his enemies, kind of coming from technology, isn't that fun for me. But everything else, all the character stuff with like Lois and Clark I think is great.
Yeah, the Clark, Lois, and Jimmy dynamic is great. The people at the Daily Planet is amazing. I feel like the action looks really good. I do like the whole modern technological take on it all. I'm interested to see what happens with Deathstroke, because I'm assuming that's meant to be Deathstroke, but he's like young, which is interesting. For some reason.
Again, it's always weird when I see Deathstroke in these things, because like a lot of people assume he's a Batman villain, but he's not even meant to be a Batman villain. He's a Teen Titans villain.
Essentially, he's like a Robin villain, isn't he?
Yeah, and then all of a sudden they're putting him with Superman now, and I'm always like, man, we put Deathstroke in the most random places for some reason. I don't know. It's like we can't decide who we want to make him the arch enemy of, so we start putting him with everyone just to see who sticks.
It's the vibe that he's a sword for hire, isn't he, basically? So it's a case of, right, who can afford Deathstroke? It's like, oh, let's have him fight Superman. So Amanda Waller, there you go. Blame Amanda Waller. She is the reason of everything being a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
No.
That was a little Superman segue there.
You always got to get a bit of Superman in.
Yeah. It was the man's birthday. Man's like 85 or whatever the fuck.
And looking good, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Yep. I could waffle on ages about Superman stuff. However, I feel like looking at the time, we should probably call it there.
That makes sense to me, because I need to go get food.
Exactly, you always need to go get food. Unless you have any finishing thoughts on Deadpool.
I'm trying to think of how that trailer... Oh, I'll tell you, here's my last little thought I'll have of it, because I saw someone post on Twitter the little clip where Wolverine is trying to slash Deadpool.
Oh, the Spider-Man!
Yeah, and everyone posted Spider-Man right beside it.
Yeah, that is crazy.
And I don't even know if that's on purpose.
I think it's on purpose. The fact that it's so much the same, I definitely think that is... But that's the same thing as there is a Shazam cartoon movie when he's fighting Black Adam, and the combat in that is literally ripped from a live action fight. It's literally move for move the same. I can't remember what movie it is. I'll have to send you the link to the video. But it's the same thing. But I don't know if that. I'm assuming it wasn't intentional because it's literally the same. So I'm assuming it was intentional because I just can't imagine you can do that thing by accident.
Yeah, and it fits so well with the clip that it feels like intentional. Surely.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
But what a weird detail to add.
Yeah, it's from Spider-Man.
Feels niche. And it feels like someone saw the trailer as they were watching Spider-Man and went, wait a minute.
Yeah, it's the fact that they noticed that is crazy.
Yeah, I've watched Spider-Man so many times. I fucking love that film. Gun to my head, I would never be able to tell you the exact choreography for that fight.
The Flash.
To make that make sense.
That's true. That is crazy. And I love it. I love the geeky world, and I love what people notice when you give them some time. It's awesome. I love these little details. It makes me happy. Your mum said goodbye. I don't know when she said it though. I've just been annoyed. Sorry.
Oh, she's gone to make tea. Yep, there you go. She'll catch us next time.
And that is a good place to end it. Any final thoughts, Stephen, just in general?
Not at all. Keep geeking on.
Keep geeking on. Oh, that might be a thing. I'm going to remember that. Keep geeking on, and see you all next time, you beautiful bastards. Peace.